Hi, what's up? Welcome to my channel. My name is Kat, and today we're officially going to be kicking off some of the mid-year content, just going over some information about my reading this year and kind of summarizing a bunch of things. So first off, ignore this mess. I just moved into a new house. It's not fully set up, and I've tried to angle myself and it's not quite working. And second, if you hear water rushing in the background, it's the pump of this old house doesn't fully work, or I guess something does not work fully with the pump. So this has just been going on for hours. I didn't really want to wait a few more hours for it to potentially stop. So I'm going to be trying to pause in between the pump going, but it starts up every 20 seconds. So I'm sorry if you hear that in advance. So today's video, we're going to be going over just talking about some of the series that I've been reading in 2023. So just to preface this, I don't really keep track of romance series because so many of these, you don't need to read chronologically. They tend to follow different family members or friend members in a group, and you don't fully need to read them all chronologically. You can skip out on certain books and you don't really miss the plot. So I don't keep track of romance series, and I don't particularly care if I actually finish those. And also, I'm not going to be talking about either books that I've only read the first in the series about, just because I've read way too many of those this year, and a lot of them I haven't fully decided if I'm going to continue in, and also a lot of them only the first book is out, so I don't really have more information about the series yet to discuss. And I'm also not going to be talking about the series I've DNF'd, which if you're interested in that as a video, please let me know, but I just can't be bothered to, because there's so many. I haven't really gone through every single one and decided if I'm going to keep going or why I want to stop. A lot of them I just kind of read the first book and was whatever, I don't really have much to say or think about it. So if you're interested in that, let me know. But otherwise, today we're going to be talking about either all the series that I finished so far in 2023 or the ones that I am currently in progress. So let's dive in. Let's first look at these series that I finished. So looking at this, I've actually finished 12 typically more fantasy or sci-fi. And I'm very proud of myself for that, because I have notoriously been terrible about actually finishing a series. I tend to read all of the books except the last one because I don't want it to finish, and I have done this so many times over, but I am very, very proud of myself that I'm actually trying to get better at this. And then also a lot of these I started this year and finished, which I never do. I usually even if it's trilogy, I take my sweet ass time with it. I do not rush. I do not seem to really care, but I am very, very proud of myself for that. So to start with, the very first series I'm going to be talking about is the First Law trilogy by ABERCROMBIE. So this is a grimdark fantasy series where you're following a bunch of morally gray characters as they are navigating this war, and in this world where it seems there's going to be a reappearance of magic, and there's this, and all of them are just kind of pursuing their own goals, and maybe not for the most righteous reasons. And I loved it. I gave every book that I read in the trilogy a 5 stars. And so now there's several standalone books, and then it goes on to, I think, a second trilogy. So I'm currently reading the standalones, but I don't think they can necessarily be considered part of the same series. They're still in the same world, but they are a different series altogether, or a different thing altogether. So I'm really enjoying this one. I absolutely powered through that one so quickly, and it was one of my favorite fantasy series I think I've read this year. It really gave me Game of Thrones vibes, and really got me back to classic fantasy vibes, which I have not been getting as much lately. I decided I really wanted to, I don't even know what spurred this on, but I decided I really wanted to read all of the Cassandra Clare Shadowhunter books again. So in the first half of this year, I started and finished the Infernal Devices trilogy, which is a trilogy that takes place in the 1800s London, and you're following a few Shadowhunters and a warlock, and there's all of these clockwork animated monsters that they're fighting. I thought it was pretty good and ended up being shockingly emotional. The last book I actually cried in, which does not happen often, but that one's done, and now I'm on to the next one, or about to start, which I think is the Dark Artifices series. I really can't keep track about all of these, but I'm trying to read them in publication order. One of the least favorite series I read this year was The Four Horsemen by Laura Thalassa. I genuinely don't know why I forced myself to keep going, because this was one, you're following the four horsemen of the apocalypse as they come to Earth and like wreak havoc. And in each book, they fall in love with a human woman, and she somehow convinces them to like give up their purpose and stop being a horseman. The first one, Pestilence, was okay, and it progressively each got like significantly worse as it went on. And I think I just like kept hoping that I would still find one that I enjoyed as much as Pestilence, which I still didn't enjoy that much. It was a 3-star, but I thought it was like a fun, good time. So I'm just very disappointed that it kept getting worse. And I think I also just wanted that completionism of finishing the series, because I've been trying to read more fantasy romance to talk about, and it just really was not great. That one I wouldn't recommend. The Winter Night trilogy by Catherine Arden was really fantastic. The first book was definitely the best, which was The Bear and the Nightingale. It's this like Russian folklore type of story where you're following a young witch in her small town, and she's kind of like battling a priest who's trying to bring these like new religious views, versus there's all of this old folklore and traditionalist like views of all of the monsters that are around, and all of this deep like magical atmosphere in the world. And I absolutely loved the first book. That was a 5-star. And then continuing with the series, I had a 4 and a 3-star, so it definitely got worse, and I really lost interest in it by the third book. But I did just force myself to finish it because I wanted to see if it would get any better. Sadly, it didn't, but there's another series checked off, thankfully. I actually found like a witchy romance series that I really enjoyed. So this was The Witches of Thistle Grove by Lana Harper. There's 3 books out right now, and I believe there are more coming in the future, but I am up to date with all 3 that are out, and I really enjoyed them. So it's just like this small town where there's witches. There's this magical competition to see which of the 4 or 5 main families is going to essentially control the magic for the next 50 years. And we're just following different members of the families, and all of them have like certain reputations or certain stigmas, different like animosities towards each other, and you're just kind of following people as they're trying to get past that. I really enjoyed it. It has like really cute fall, like small town romance vibes, but adding like a magical twist. So I think that one was super fun. Then I did the Crowns of Neaxia series by CARISSA Broadbent. So far there's only 2 books, which is Serpents and the Wings of Night, and The Stars and the Ashes and the Star-Cursed Kings, something like that. So there's 2 books, and then there's also a novella and another sort of standalone book set within the same series. I did read all of them. I think this series is fantastic. It's one of the best fantasy romances I've read in a while. It's about vampires. There's like different vampire kings and courts and like all these different factions, and it is wonderful. I absolutely loved it. This was probably my favorite series that I've read so far this year. And yeah, there was only 2 books. Well, 2 plus other installations in the world. I got caught up in the Murderbot Diaries by Martha Wells, and I believe there are 6 or 7 books out now, so I got caught up with those, where I'd previously read 3 of them and read the rest this year. They're just like little novellas about this robot named Murderbot who is just like off doing these adventures and trying to figure out his life. They're pretty good for the most part. I do think that the first installations were the best, and the rest of the series kind of got a little iffy, but I do think that these are like very fun short little novellas. The audiobooks are also like typically 3 to 4 hours, which you can get through like no time whatsoever. So that was a pretty good one. I've really been trying to wait out the pump, but it's been going for like 5 minutes straight now. So I'm really hoping that you don't hear it too badly in the background, and I'm really sorry if you do. If I want to get this filmed, I have to keep going. So I finally caught up on the Mistborn series, which I had read the original trilogy years ago, and then last year finally started to get back into the second era, and really don't like it. I really disliked pretty much everything about the second era. The most recent book, which was The Lost Metal, is probably by far the best of it, just because it like ties a lot more into the Cosmere, and you do see all of these ties to other books and other worlds within Brandon Sanderson's universe. And that was like the only reason why I really kept going with it, because I am a huge Brandon Sanderson fan and I try to read all of his books, but I think that by far that was the most disappointing series I've read from him. But I am done, so that was I read the first 3 books in the second era last year, and then the final one, Lost Metal, was this year. I took a little break to get an IKEA delivery, and guess what? The pump is still going. So we're almost done this section of series that I finished. So the next one is Heartstopper. It is a graphic novel, like romance between 2 teen boys. Incredibly heartwarming. I gave every edition 5 stars. So I'm up to date on everything that's out so far. I think the next one is coming out this fall maybe, but every single edition was 5 stars, and it was like the cutest shit I've ever read. I finally finished reading the Daevabad trilogy by S.A. Chakraborty. So I read the first 2 installations probably years ago, and just have been like reading, like in the process of reading the 3rd one for at least a year and a half, and I finally forced myself last month to like sit down and get it done, and I'm so glad I did, so I can just like mark that one as off. It was pretty good overall. I actually really liked it. It just like wasn't an exceptional fantasy series in my mind. And then the most recent one that I finished was the Blood Gift duology by N.A. Davenport. The first one, The Blood Trials, I read last year. I gave it a 5 stars. And then this year, The Blood Gift, which is the final installation in the duology, came out. I really didn't like. I gave it like a 2.5 star. That was one that I think should have been a trilogy just based on how much stuff happened. And also everything that I loved about the first book just did not follow through for the second. Okay, so now we're going to be talking about the series that I have in progress. So again, this does not include romance. This does not include books that I've only read the first book in. And there's really only like 6 to talk about, and these are also ones that I've made progress this year in. So we're going to start off by the Mercy Thompson series by Patricia Briggs. This is an urban fantasy romance following a coyote shifter and the alpha of a werewolf pack. I really enjoy this. I think a lot of it is very enjoyable. There are certain things I don't love about like the language choices used, and I don't know, some of it tends to drag. Like I found a lot of the middle books have been fairly slow, and now towards the end it's starting to pick up again. But I'm currently on book 11 of 13, or I've read up to book 11. So I really do enjoy it, and this is one series that I would really like to finish this year just to be all caught up and then only read like the installations as they come out. One thing about me, I love my urban fantasy, so anytime I find a series that I enjoy, I will read it all. The next one is another fantasy romance, which is the Savage Land series by Stacey Marie Brown. This is like one of the most addicting, but like probably if we look at it as in a critical lens, terribly written and really not great series, but I am ridiculously addicted to it. We're following this world where this veil between the Fae realm and the human realm came down 20 odd years before, and now human and Fae are forced to live in the same space, and they are constantly at war. And I'm ridiculously addicted to this series. I love it. And the only reason I haven't finished it yet is because I do have to buy every installation because I can't find it at the library, or it's not on Kindle Unlimited. So I'm just kind of taking my time with buying each new book because I'm trying to really force myself to not buy as many books. But this is one I am so ridiculously addicted to and want to get through it. I'm currently on book 6 out of 7, so I'm almost there. I read 4 installations of the Wayward Children series by Shauna Maguire. This is about kids who've gone through like a portal realm to like just magical, through a portal to like magical worlds, like all types of different worlds, and then come back to Earth and try to find a way to cope with like knowing that they don't necessarily fit in here as much as they would have in their magical world. I really am loving this. Some of these books have been like truly fantastic, and I'm currently on book 5 of 8. Then I am doing a really intense, not even intense, I'm doing 1 book a month, but I'm doing a reread of Wheel of Time, and currently on book 6 of 14. My goal was originally to read them all within this year, which I still think is possible. It's just definitely going to require me to ramp up the speed a little bit for it. But I'm deeply enjoying this reread. It's been truly fantastic, and I'm finding like an entirely new love and appreciation for the Wheel of Time books, and yeah, it's been a very, very great time to reread it. And then the final series that I'm going to talk about is the Red Rising saga. So I'm on right now book 3 of I'm not sure if it's 6 or 7. A new one just came out, but I can't remember which installation in the series it is. This fantastic, one of the best like epic sci-fi series I've ever read, and I'd previously read books 1 and 2, and then I decided to reread them and finish off the series, and I genuinely cannot believe how incredibly good this is, and every single installation is like blowing me away. So this is another one that I definitely want to finish before the year's out, because now that I think the second trilogy is finished off, I just want to like be all caught up and like really enjoy everything that's happened in this world. So there you have it. Those are the series I've been reading in 2023 so far. The ones that I finished, the ones that I'm working on, and yeah, that's it. I really hope this noise wasn't that annoying. I'm really hoping like the camera didn't pick it up, because it is so incredibly annoying for me. Like I said, this is the start of my mid-year wrap-up, in review. So next video I think is going to be series that I want to finish by the end of the year, and this includes a few that I want to start and finish. So keep an eye out for that. If you haven't already, please subscribe, like this video, comment what you guys have been reading or what series you've liked this year, and I hope I see you in the next one. Bye.